At the beginning of the story, we see a man named Barry bring home bags full of money. Barry was worried about where he would store all this money. The house was full, and there wasn't even enough space to bury it. Everywhere he dug, he found old, buried money. Barry decided to hide it in the horse stable, but as he opened the door to hide it, a mountain of money fell on him, scattering notes all over the stable. But he didn't always have so much money. A few years ago, he was just a pilot for an airline. Barry's girlfriend was beautiful, and he was quite happy. Barry thought his entire life would be spent happily ever after. But then, suddenly, trouble struck. One evening, when Barry arrived at his hotel to relax, a bearded man came to meet him and began blackmailing him. He accused Barry of smuggling cigars for money. Hearing this, Barry broke out in a panic, because if this news got out, he would be disgraced. His pilot's license would be revoked. What would he do with his life then? Seeing Barry's nervousness, the man revealed that he was a CIA agent named Monty. He then introduced Barry to his team. They took Barry to a secret location, a storage facility. There, Barry's eyes lit up with the sight of the fastest plane of the time. It had 2 powerful engines. Barry gazed at the plane with great interest. Monty was overjoyed and told Barry his mission. Barry would have to fly this plane over enemy countries in Central America. He would fly the plane low to the ground to take intelligence images. But this was a secret mission, and Barry couldn't share this information with anyone, not even his girlfriend Lucy. But Barry cared about nothing at this moment. He was simply eager to fly the plane of his dreams. Monty opened the doors so Barry could take a test drive. When he got home, he told Lucy that he had to leave his current job because he had found a better job at another company. He didn't mention his mission. Lucy found this strange. Why would a pilot want to leave his job as a captain at an airline and work for an unknown company? That very night, during a flight, Barry suddenly left the cockpit, determined to start a new life. From then on, Barry became Monty's man. He would fly deep into Central America, braving all sorts of dangers to take secret photographs. Each journey was treacherous, but Barry began to enjoy it. When Monty showed the photographs to his superiors, they praised him profusely. But Barry hadn't told Lucy anything yet. They were married and now had a daughter, but Barry's income wasn't much. Barry told Monty, "Look, this much money isn't enough to live on, so a man can do something." But Monty didn't do anything about it. Monty assigned Barry a new mission in Panama. Barry was used to such missions, and he completed it with ease. Before long, 1980 dawned. Barry stopped in Colombia to refuel when 3 men suddenly arrived looking for him. These thugs openly carried guns. They threatened Barry and forced him into the car. Barry had no choice, so he quietly accompanied them to their base. There, they found their leader, Pablo Escobar. Pablo knew Barry's true identity and that he took intelligence photographs of Central American countries. Hearing this, Barry panicked and explained that he worked for a regular company, not the CIA. Pablo, knowing the full truth, laughed. Pablo told Barry, "I don't want to harm you. You just need to do a little smuggling for me. As you fly, take some of my stuff there." After this, Pablo took Barry to his farm. Explaining how difficult smuggling the goods was, he needed Barry's help. He would pay Barry $2,000 for each completed delivery. Barry was overjoyed. This would make more money than just taking photographs. But when he understood the system, Barry realized the flaw. The runway Pablo had built was too short, and many pilots had died taking off before. Barry suggested, "Make this runway a little longer, you're short on money." But Pablo said, "If you want to work, then do it. Otherwise, get out of here. There's no need to suggest anything." Hearing this, Barry's ego was hurt. He decided, "I'll show you how to fly the plane on this runway." He said, "This delivery won't be done the way you want. I'll show you how the cargo will be delivered." He told Pablo a spot with an open field. "I'll take the plane down to the very bottom and drop the cargo. You can send your men there to pick it up." Pablo agreed and had the cargo loaded.
As soon as the preparations for departure were complete, Barry saw one of Pablo's men sitting in the pilot's seat. But Barry explained that the plane already had a lot of cargo. The plane can't handle any more. He said, "Okay, it needs to land." Pablo got him off, and Barry began to leave. Pablo gifted Barry a cross as a good luck charm. Barry took off, unaware that Pablo and his men were betting on his life to see if he could fly the plane. Barry took off wisely. However, the heavy load caused the plane to briefly descend. He then managed to fly it through the trees. As soon as he entered U.S. airspace, he was detected by military radar. Unaware of this, Barry quickly began heading towards the drop-off point. Barry pressed the autopilot, opened the hatch, and dropped the cargo. With that, Barry's delivery was complete. The next time Barry visited Colombia, Pablo and his brothers threw a welcome party for him and gave him a bag full of the money he had earned. But before Barry could celebrate, some soldiers arrived and surrounded Pablo's bungalow. Pablo told Barry to stay inside and went out to handle the situation. But Barry had never been in the middle of such heavy gunfire, and his anxiety was growing. Barry took the money and went out to find Pablo and his men. But the army captured Barry along with everyone else. After a few days, Pablo and his men were declared innocent, leaving only Barry in jail. Just as Barry was becoming increasingly distressed, Monty suddenly appeared. Barry had several bruises on his face and 2 broken teeth. Monty told him that he was accused of drug trafficking and that the police would search his house at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Hearing this, Barry was devastated.
He was sad. He didn't want to drag his family into this. He constantly begged Monty for help. Barry couldn't understand that he was falling into Monty's trap. Monty said, "Yes, I can help you, but you have to do something in return." Recently, there was a change of government in a nearby country, and many people are protesting against the president. Now the US government wants us to send money and weapons to those opposing the government in that country. But no one should know about it. America's name should not be mentioned anywhere. And Monty was responsible for carrying out this task. And now Monty also had a qualified pilot. Monty couldn't erase Barry's criminal record, but he advised Barry that he needed to move house. "There's a small town called Mina. Meet me there." Barry had no choice. So when he got home, he picked up Lucy and his daughter and told them to pack their bags quickly. They would be leaving soon. Barry's actions made Lucy suspicious. Lucy repeatedly asked what was going on, but Barry was in no condition to explain. He told Lucy to trust him. By morning, the entire family packed up and left the place. The 3 of them arrived in Mina, a small town of only 2,000 people. They arrived at a dilapidated house where Monty had arranged for them to stay. Barry had just arrived when he saw Monty had also arrived, and Barry went out to meet him. Monty gave Barry a surprise. There was an airport of approximately 2,000 acres there. Monty gifted Barry the land, declaring that everything on it was now his. Barry couldn't believe his eyes. He looked around, but he couldn't believe it all belonged to him. Monty hadn't been giving him any money before. Monty opened a wooden crate filled with AK-47s, and Barry's job was to transport these weapons to that country. Monty gave Barry a map that would make it easier to get there. It also showed where the military was stationed. With this map, Barry could evade everyone. Monty also gave Barry a bag of money that the military had recovered from Paulo's house. Now Barry had no reason to refuse Monty. Barry knew it was time to tell Lucy everything. Lucy was furious because he had brought her from a well-to-do city to a village with 2,000 people. There was nothing in her house, not a TV or a washing machine. How would she raise her daughter? But then Barry told her the truth and handed her the bag full of money. He said it would buy a washing machine. He threw notes around saying that they could buy anything with this money. Lucy calmed down completely. In 1981, Barry began transporting weapons. Carrying a bag full of weapons, Barry arrived in Nicosia, Goa. He thought the people would welcome him. However, upon arriving, he discovered they weren't interested in weapons. Instead, they snatched his glasses and shoes. This enraged Barry. He immediately called Monty and explained the situation, but Monty didn't offer much of a response. He said Barry's job was to deliver weapons to the right place at the right time, not to let them use them. Helpless, he went back to that country to make the delivery. But this time he carried a baseball bat for self-defense, warning them, "If you move forward, I'll break your head. Take your guns quietly and get out of here." This time he even gave these protesters some gifts. To his surprise, Paulo and his 2 brothers also arrived. But they hadn't come to fight. Instead, they told him they were pretending to be opponents to get American help.
Paulo then asked Barry to smuggle the illegal goods into the USA, as Barry now possessed a powerful map provided by Monty. He refused, as the map made it highly unlikely he would be caught. For the next few days, Barry worked as a hard worker, transporting weapons to Nicaragua and then delivering the illegal goods from there to the US. The more he worked, the more money he earned. The operation grew, and Barry hired 4 more pilots to handle the work more quickly. Just as Barry was earning a lot of money, the CIA took action. They no longer wanted to simply deliver weapons, but also to bring dissidents to the US and train them so they could return and overthrow the government in their own countries. Barry asked, "Where will you train them? Where will you leave them?" Monty replied, "I've given you a 2,000-acre airport. Please give me some space, brother." All this didn't make much difference to Barry. He was bringing in illegal goods. Instead, there were just a few people. But things didn't turn out as the CIA had hoped. Troubled by poverty and hunger in his own country, this dissident was soon, once they reached the USA, they would flee, vowing never to return. Barry didn't mind all this, but soon a major problem arose. Barry had a lot of money, but now he couldn't just deposit it all in the bank. People would ask where he got it from. So, he deposited a small portion and used the rest to live a comfortable life. He gifted baseball tickets to the entire town. He bought Lucy a new car and renovated the house. But he was earning twice as much as he was spending. Barry started numerous companies to hide his wealth and employed the townspeople in unimportant jobs. He had money hidden in every corner of his house, even burying some behind the house. Barry was living a wonderful life, but then one day Lucy's worthless brother came to visit and asked Barry some money. Barry didn't refuse. He wanted to get rid of him as soon as possible, but Lucy insisted that he wouldn't take freebies for granted. She wanted Barry to give him a job. Barry couldn't resist Lucy's advances. He took her brother to a plane hangar where he put him to work cleaning. The story returned to where it all began. Barry had been hiding the money at home. He was clearing the scattered notes from the stable when he saw JB arrive with a new car and his girlfriend. Lucy was furious when she learned that her brother wasn't working but was just stealing money and wandering around. Barry asked him where the money came from. He said, "While cleaning, I found a bag full of money. I bought the car with that money." Barry was furious, but he didn't know what to do. The matter didn't end there. From then on, Barry became increasingly reckless. About 2 years later, the police caught Barry's attention. The DEA, or the Drug Enforcement Agency, set up a trap to catch Barry. But Barry knew everything about planes. He knew that the DEA's planes, while fast, didn't have much range. Barry circled the ocean all night, and soon the police planes ran out of fuel, forcing them to turn back. But now Barry was under the scrutiny not only of the DEA, but also of the FBI. The amount of money Barry was acquiring had caught their eye. Soon some FBI agents arrived in Mina to investigate. An FBI agent saw banks open and expensive cars line the streets. They couldn't understand where the people of this city were getting so much money. Another mission, Barry had also come under the radar of the Border Patrol. And mindful of Barry's evasion of the DEA, the Border Patrol sent 2 more planes just like Barry's plane, hoping to capture him this time at any cost. Seeing this, Barry, enraged, began to descend and land the plane right on the highway. As soon as Barry landed, he threw some money to the children on the street. He took their bicycle and disappeared. Barry had barely caught his breath when he received a call from Paulo. The DEA was after Paulo as well, therefore he could no longer stay in Colombia. He had fled to Nicaragua. Barry then left for there as well. As soon as Barry left, JB picked up a bag full of money and took his new car to go on a spree. He entered a restaurant with a suitcase full of money. He saw police officers dining there. Frightened, JB suddenly ran, but the police chased him and caught him. Barry was in a meeting with Paulo at the time. As soon as Lucy informed him, Barry rushed back to Mina. He called the city's most expensive lawyer.
But Paulo started to think that JB might have told the police everything. He said to Barry, "I'll help you figure this out." Barry knew that if he took matters into his own hands, people would die. Barry tried to talk him out of it, but Paulo wouldn't listen. Barry then hurried to see JB. Barry led JB to the car as soon as he left the station. He gave him a package that had money for the rest of his life, a passport, and plane tickets. Barry wanted JB to leave the country, but JB knew Barry was trying to get away. JB angrily told Barry, "You have to give me the money every month or I'll tell the police everything." After that, he started to hurt Lucy. Barry was so mad that he got out of the car and chased JB. But JB got scared and started the car and drove away. "Wait, you bastard, I'll tell you," Barry yelled as he ran after him. But the car blew up after a short distance, killing JB and sending the money flying.
For a moment, Barry was shocked, but he knew deep down that Paulo was to blame. Barry started pulling JB's car with his own and left it in the jungle. At the same time, the CIA found out that drug traffickers had gotten their hands on the weapons sent to Nicaragua. Very few of the rebels who were brought from Nicaragua and trained went back to fight. The CIA knew it was a bad idea to bring them back and train them. They told Monty to call off the whole mission. Barry asked Monty not to give them any more work when he saw them all leaving, but Monty didn't say anything. He just said, "Wait for my next signal." Barry now knew he was in big trouble and Monty didn't need him anymore, so he wouldn't help him. The next day, when Monty got to work, he told everyone on his team to burn all of Barry's papers. He shouldn't have to deal with them. Barry then told everyone on his team to get ready and run away. Just as Barry and his friends were getting ready to leave, the police, DEA, ATF, and FBI showed up. They quickly arrested him and took him to the prosecutor's office to make sure he got the harshest punishment possible for what he did. In the meantime, Barry was trying to pay them all off. "I'll make your lives better. I'll give you all a crore. Okay, no, I'll give you 10 crore. But then the lawyer's phone rang. Barry knew something was different. The prosecutor came out angrily and told Barry to take off his handcuffs. That one call set Barry free. 2 men in suits led him to a car as soon as he got out. Barry believed they were Monty's men, but they took him straight to the airport, and from there, Barry went straight to the White House. Barry was going to meet the president now, and he was very nervous. He didn't get why they had brought him there. The CIA director and the Army colonel agreed that Barry should deal with Pablo one last time so that he could get secret pictures of Pablo. These would be proof that couldn't be ignored. Barry said yes to the job, but he was very scared. If Pablo Escobar even thought Barry was trying to frame him, he would kill him. Barry and his assistant left after saying goodbye to his family. They made it to Nicaragua after going through a storm. As soon as the door to the plane opened, soldiers with guns drawn stood guard. Barry freaked out and tried to say it was just a gift. At that moment, Pablo showed up and told his men to kill him. Barry was very scared. But then Pablo laughed and told his men to back off. Pablo's jokes were one of a kind. Barry, who was starting to calm down, gave all the weapons to Pablo and his friends. Barry's friend secretly turned on a hidden camera that clearly showed Pablo and his friends' faces. The police now had strong proof that they were guilty. The director was so happy that he threw a party for everyone. Barry had finished a risky job. But one day the government broke its promise and put a clear picture of his face on TV. They wanted Paulo to look at it. But didn't Paulo have a television? He now knew that Barry had lied to him. He quickly sent some of his thugs to get back at him. But that wasn't the end of it. The government was completely against him. They said Barry was smuggling. The FBI took everything he owned and all of his money. Barry was able to convince his wife Lucy to put on all of her jewelry and run away the night before everything was supposed to be taken, because no one could take what she was wearing. Lucy didn't want to leave her husband, but she knew she had to. She had to do this for the sake of her kids. The FBI broke into Barry's house the next day. Barry realized that he had lost everything, including his family and his money. The situation got better over time and Barry's sentence was cut down by a lot. He knew that Paulo wouldn't let him go without a fight. Every night he moved to a different hotel room. He lived in fear for a few years, but one day a gangster shot him in his car.